Chapter 1. Unexpected Collision. Adrian Reyes was a whirlwind of energy and chaos, darting through the university halls with a stack of student council forms tucked under one arm and his phone wedged between his ear and shoulder. As the student council president, his life was a blur of meetings, deadlines, and damage control. He moved like a man on a mission, weaving through students, dodging last-minute club announcements, and mentally calculating the hours until he could finally sit down. He rounded the corner too fast and slammed into something solid. Something warm, firm, and definitely not a wall. His papers flew. His phone clattered to the ground, and he stumbled back with a yelp, heart lurching in his chest. "Whoa!" A calm, low voice rumbled above him. Adrian looked up, dazed, and found himself staring directly at a tall guy in a black varsity jacket. Tall was an understatement. He was towering, broad-shouldered, and standing with the kind of posture that exuded quiet strength. His eyes were dark, heavy-lidded, and framed by thick lashes. His messy, jet-black hair looked like he'd just come from a wind tunnel, but somehow it worked. Vincent Lee, captain of the men's volleyball team, universally known as the quiet heartthrob of campus. Adrian's stomach flipped. "You okay?" Vincent asked, crouching to help pick up the scattered documents. Yeah, just." Adrian blinked and crouched down, snatching up the closest form. He tried not to stare at the way Vincent's forearms flexed as he picked up the rest. His brain felt like it had short-circuited. Why did he have to be so ridiculously attractive up close? His skin looked annoyingly smooth, his jawline unfairly sharp. "You should watch where you're going," Adrian snapped, trying to regain some dignity. He stood too quickly, and one of the folders slipped from his hand again. Vincent caught it midair and handed it back. "I did. You just charge around like a very determined hamster." Adrian's face turned crimson. "Excuse me?" Vincent gave a half-shrug, a lazy smirk tugging at his lips. "Cute, though." Adrian gawked, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Did he just get called a hamster? Cute? By the volleyball captain? Before he could come up with a snarky reply, Vincent gave him a small nod and walked away, hands in his pockets, unbothered. Adrian stood in the hallway, stunned, heart pounding in his chest. "What just happened?" he whispered to himself. He barely noticed when his best friend, Juno, tapped him on the shoulder. "Adrian, you okay? You look like you saw a ghost." Adrian clutched his documents to his chest. "Worse. I saw Vincent Lee." "Oh, tall, dark, and volleyball? Did he speak? Did he smolder at you?" "He called me a hamster." Juno burst out laughing. Adrian sighed, trudging off. This was going to be a long semester. Later that night, Adrian sat in his dorm, recounting the encounter to himself as he filed his reports. He kept replaying the way Vincent had looked at him, like he wasn't just another face in the crowd. Like Adrian had amused him, flustered him even. No, he was imagining things, right? His phone buzzed. "Unknown number. You dropped this earlier. Your email was on the form." The attached was a photo of a single missing council document, and Vincent's hand holding it. Adrian's heart skipped. "Adrian, thanks. Also, you're not supposed to take photos of sensitive council documents, you know. Privacy breach." "Vincent, relax, hamster prez. It's already shredded. Just wanted to say you owe me one." Adrian stared at the screen, mouth agape. Did Vincent just nickname him? Was this flirting? Was this blackmail? What dimension had he fallen into? He sighed and slumped into his pillow. He was in trouble. Big, tall, volleyball-playing trouble. Chapter 2. The Meeting Room Mix-Up. The following afternoon, Adrian stormed into the student council room with caffeine in one hand and frustration in the other. He was 5 minutes late for a budget review, and his shoes squeaked as he walked across the polished floor. But the moment he pushed the door open, he froze. Someone was already there. Vincent Lee sat casually on the council couch, his long legs stretched out in front of him, volleyball duffel bag on the floor beside him. He wore his team's practice jersey, slightly damp from what must have been a recent scrimmage. His black hair was messily pushed back, giving him that frustratingly good-looking post-workout glow. He looked like a scene straight out of a sports drama. Adrian blinked. "You're not supposed to be here." Vincent looked up from his phone, entirely unbothered. "Coach said we could use the council room today. The gym's being cleaned." Adrian's brow twitched. "No one told me." Vincent pointed toward a whiteboard near the entrance. In red marker, someone had scrawled, "Reserved, volleyball team, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Who authorized this?" Adrian huffed. "You did, technically," Vincent said, pulling up an email on his phone. "Vice President Juno approved it last week. I can forward you the message." Adrian groaned and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Of course Juno did. I was knee-deep in club proposals when she slipped that past me." Vincent moved his duffel aside and patted the empty space beside him. "No point arguing. Come sit. We can share." "Share? Yeah. I'll keep this side for zoning out, and you can keep your side for all your council world domination plans." Adrian crossed his arms. "This is a working meeting. I can't work with you lounging. You'd be surprised how productive I can be while lounging." Adrian narrowed his eyes but eventually gave in with a groan. He set his laptop on the desk, adjusted his chair so that it was angled far away from Vincent, and opened a spreadsheet. He pretended not to notice when Vincent leaned over to peek at the screen. "Is that the event budget?" Vincent asked. "Yes." "Why are there 3 lines for bottled water?" Adrian sighed. "One for delivery, one for event stock, one for contingency." "You plan for water emergencies?" "I plan for everything." Vincent grinned. "Obsessive. I like that." Adrian's fingers paused on the keyboard. He turned to glare. "Do you ever stop flirting? Do you ever stop being cute when you're annoyed?" Adrian's jaw dropped. "You!" At that moment, a volleyball rolled into the room. A tall, blonde player peeked in. "Yo, Cap, we're set up outside. You coming?" Vincent gave him a thumbs up. 5 minutes. The teammate gave Adrian a curious look, then smirked and disappeared. Adrian buried his face in his hands. "Great. Now your team thinks I'm your groupie." Vincent chuckled. "Don't worry. I don't bring just anyone into our meetings." Adrian looked up, flustered. "This is not a meeting. This is you hijacking my workspace." And yet, here we are. A few more minutes passed in silence, broken only by the occasional click of keys and the soft buzz of Vincent's phone. Adrian focused on his tasks, but he felt the heat of Vincent's presence beside him, the quiet steadiness of his breathing, the occasional glance from those heavy-lidded eyes. Suddenly, Adrian reached for a binder at the edge of the couch, but his hands slipped on a stack of flyers. His balance tilted, and in a blink, he was falling forward. "Whoa, careful!" Vincent caught him mid-fall, one strong arm wrapped securely around Adrian's waist, the other steadying his shoulder. Their faces were so close, Adrian could see the faint scar on Vincent's jawline, the way his lashes curled at the tips, the slight upturn of his lips. Time froze. Adrian's breath hitched. Vincent's hold was firm, warm, too intimate. He smelled like citrus body spray and a hint of sweat, clean, earthy, intoxicating. "You really need to watch where you're going," Vincent murmured. Adrian blinked. "You, let go." Vincent let go immediately, hands raised in surrender. Adrian stumbled back, cheeks burning. Vincent smiled. "That was fun. Let's do it again sometime." "You're the worst." Vincent slung his bag over his shoulder and headed for the door. Just before stepping out, he paused and turned. "Oh, and Adrian? What now? You're cute when you panic." The door shut behind him, leaving Adrian alone with a racing heart and a stack of half-finished spreadsheets. He groaned into his hands. Why is he like this? And why, deep down, did he not want it to stop? Chapter 3. Serving Tension. Adrian didn't mean to end up courtside. In fact, he'd promised himself after the student council room incident that he'd steer clear of Vincent Lee and his perfectly sculpted arms. But when Juno bailed on watching the opening game of the university's volleyball season, after scoring 2 prime front-row seats, no less, Adrian found himself sitting alone in the crowd, holding a stadium soda and pretending not to look for a particular number on the court. But the moment number 7 Vincent Lee jogged out with the rest of the team, all tall and commanding in his sleeveless jersey, Adrian nearly choked on his drink. "Focus," Adrian muttered to himself. "You're here to support student athletics. Purely professional." Vincent didn't see him at first. He was too busy warming up, his black hair falling into his eyes as he moved like he owned the court. Fluid, confident, magnetic. Every spike, every serve, every shout of direction carried weight. Even from a distance, Adrian could feel the pull of him. By the second set, the game had everyone on their feet. The score was neck and neck, tension palpable. And then Vincent landed a spike so powerful the entire gym roared. He turned to the crowd with a victorious grin, and that's when he saw Adrian. Their eyes met. Vincent's smile deepened into a smirk. Adrian's heart skipped. Vincent didn't look away. Not for a second. Not until the ref blew the whistle and the game resumed. Even then, Adrian was left blinking, heat rushing to his cheeks. Had he imagined that? Was that just friendly acknowledgement? Was he reading into it because he hadn't had a decent romantic distraction since junior year? The match ended in a win. Vincent was mobbed by teammates, his sweaty jersey clinging to every defined muscle, his smile lazy and satisfied. Adrian was packing up to leave when someone tapped his shoulder. "You came." Vincent stood there, still in uniform, a towel draped around his neck. "Council duty," Adrian said way too quickly. "I have to support events, evaluate crowd turnout." "You know," Vincent raised a brow. "You evaluate with a giant soda and a face that screams, 'I'm trying not to enjoy this?'" "I wasn't." Adrian stopped. "Okay. Maybe I was watching a little." Vincent leaned in. "Did you like what you saw?" Adrian opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Vincent chuckled. "You're cute when you glitch." "I don't glitch," Adrian scowled. "I process." "Then process this," Vincent said, handing him a guest pass lanyard. "After party. Players only. But you can come, if you behave." Adrian took it slowly, confused. "Why are you inviting me?" Vincent shrugged, backing away with that same infuriating smirk. "Because you're interesting, Mr. President. And you still owe me for that photo I deleted." "That wasn't a real favor." "Sure it was." Vincent winked. "See you tonight?" Adrian watched him walk off, flanked by teammates. He should have said no. He should have thrown the lanyard back and marched home to his spreadsheets. But instead, he looked down at the badge and whispered, "Crap." Later that evening, Adrian stood outside a fancy rooftop bar just off campus, adjusting his collar for the 5th time. It wasn't a formal party, but he still felt out of place. Everyone inside was either an athlete or someone dating one. He stepped in and spotted Vincent almost instantly. The captain was standing near the balcony, a bottle of soda in one hand, probably spiked, Adrian suspected, wearing a black shirt that clung to him like it was made just for his body. He looked relaxed, laughing at something one of his teammates said, but his eyes flicked over as soon as Adrian walked in, and they didn't leave. Vincent excused himself and crossed the room in long strides. "You showed up. You made it sound like a threat if I didn't," Adrian said. Vincent leaned closer. "You nervous?" "No." Vincent raised an eyebrow. "Maybe." Vincent chuckled and gently took his wrist, leading him through the crowd. "Come on. You're with me." The words sent a jolt through Adrian's chest. They found a quieter spot near the edge of the rooftop, the city lights glittering below. "This is insane," Adrian muttered, taking in the view. "You really party here after games?" "Not always. Just opening night. Coach turns a blind eye if we win." "And do you always bring random council presidents?" Vincent looked at him. "You're not random." Adrian turned his head sharply. "What am I, then?" Vincent didn't answer immediately. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind Adrian's ear. His fingers brushed lightly against Adrian's skin. Barely there, but enough to leave a trail of heat. "You're the most unexpected part of my week," Vincent said quietly. "And lately, The best part. Adrian's breath caught in his throat. The city sounds faded. The warmth from Vincent's hand lingered near his jaw. You flirt like it's breathing, Adrian whispered. I don't flirt with just anyone. Adrian narrowed his eyes. You called me a hamster. And you're still thinking about it. Before Adrian could retort, a shout came from across the roof. Yo, Captain, they're starting that dumb couples volleyball thing. You in? Vincent sighed and turned to Adrian. Want to partner up? Or are you scared I'll spike you into the stratosphere? Adrian smirked. Please, I'll outserve you. Oh? Big words from a council president. Adrian grabbed his wrist and dragged him toward the court setup. Come on. Let's see if those arms are just for show. Vincent laughed and followed without hesitation. And for the first time in a while, Adrian forgot about reports, proposals, and expectations. All he could think about was Vincent. Chapter 4. Close Contact. The couple's volleyball match was a mess of chaos, laughter, and low-key flirting. Vincent and Adrian stood side by side on the makeshift rooftop court. The lights from the city skyline shimmered behind them, the court surrounded by tipsy athletes cheering like they were back in a stadium. It was supposed to be lighthearted, a post-game bonding event where players paired up with their dates or friends for fun doubles matches. But of course, things got competitive fast. You're not gonna miss this serve, right? Adrian teased as he handed the ball to Vincent. Because I do have standards. Vincent gave him a side glance, twirling the ball in one hand. Funny. I thought your standards were flexible considering you showed up. Adrian rolled his eyes, arms crossing. I regret everything. Vincent grinned. Liar. He served with an effortless power that made Adrian's jaw clench, not just because the ball shot like a bullet into the other court, but because he did it with that smug, toned ease. The kind of posture that made you forget how to form coherent sentences. They won the first 2 rounds. Then the third match began, and it got intense. Another couple had joined, both seniors, both smug, and both clearly used to playing together. Every shot was sharp and fast, and Adrian found himself scrambling. After a fast return, Adrian lunged to receive a serve, only to feel a warm body collide into him from behind. Careful! Vincent grabbed Adrian by the waist, steadying him before he could fall face first into the court. For a moment, they froze. Adrian's back was pressed flush against Vincent's chest. His hands, strong and sure, gripped Adrian's sides. The crowd kept shouting, but the sound dimmed in Adrian's ears. Vincent leaned in, voice low near his ear. You okay? Adrian didn't trust his voice. He nodded. Vincent's breath was warm against his skin. He didn't move for a second too long. Adrian could feel the captain's heartbeat. Steady, calm, annoyingly confident. Then he pulled away. Let's finish this. Adrian barely got through the next 5 minutes. They lost the round, but no one cared. Everyone was either buzzed or flirting or both. Music kicked back in. Someone popped open another bottle of champagne, and the rooftop turned into a chill after-party again. Adrian excused himself, heading toward the quieter lounge area on the far side of the building. He needed air, mental air. His heart hadn't slowed since Vincent had caught him. Stupid, smug, volleyball boys, Adrian muttered to himself, sipping from a glass of soda someone had handed him. So I'm a type now? Vincent's voice came from behind him. Adrian whipped around. You really need to stop sneaking up on me. Vincent stepped closer. Or what? Adrian took a long sip. Or I'll file a harassment complaint. Vincent tilted his head. Will I get to come to the council room again? Adrian sputtered. Oh my God. Are you incapable of having a normal conversation? Vincent smiled faintly. Not when you're this entertaining. They stood in silence for a beat, the city lights glowing around them. You didn't have to invite me tonight, Adrian said, staring at the skyline. I mean, I'm sure you had 100 other options. Vincent leaned on the railing beside him. I didn't want 100 others. That shut Adrian up. Vincent looked at him, expression unreadable. You're different, kind of chaotic, kind of refreshing. I talk too much, Adrian admitted. I get called annoying all the time. Vincent let out a soft chuckle. You are annoying, but I like it. Adrian stared. Are you drunk? Nope, just honest. Adrian didn't know what to do with that. His brain was failing. Vincent was flirting again. No, this was something else. This wasn't just the usual banter. There was a shift, a crackle of something heavier in the air. I still think you're trouble, Adrian said quietly. Vincent stepped closer. And yet, here you are. Their faces were inches apart now. Adrian's heart pounded so loudly, he was sure Vincent could hear it. His breath hitched, his body frozen, but not in fear. In anticipation. Vincent's hand rose slowly, brushing against Adrian's jaw with the lightest touch. I want to kiss you, he said, voice barely above a whisper. But only if you want me to. Adrian blinked. He didn't finish, because his mouth moved before his brain could argue, and he nodded. Vincent leaned in, and their lips met in a slow, deliberate kiss. It wasn't rough. It wasn't fast. It was patient, teasing, yet deep enough to make Adrian's knees weaken slightly. Vincent kissed like he played, focused, intentional, and maddeningly good at it. When they finally broke apart, Adrian could barely breathe. Wow, he murmured. Vincent licked his lips. You taste like soda. You taste like arrogance, Adrian whispered back. Vincent grinned. You like it. Adrian shoved him playfully. Whatever. One kiss doesn't mean I like you. Vincent leaned in again, mouth close to his ear. Then let's make it two. Adrian's heart went into orbit. Chapter 5, Lines We Cross. The morning after the party was quiet, too quiet. Adrian sat in the student council office, surrounded by stacks of event proposal forms. His usually rapid-fire pen tapping slowing to a halt every few seconds. He stared at the same paragraph for the past 15 minutes, rereading the sentence like it would magically change. His lips still tingled. He hadn't been able to stop thinking about it. The kiss. The way Vincent had looked at him afterward, like he wanted more. Not just physically, but more. It was dangerous. Stupid. Get it together, Adrian muttered under his breath. The knock on the door made him jolt. Speak of the devil. And in walked Vincent, as if summoned by sheer mental chaos. He had his varsity jacket half slung over his shoulder, hair slightly tousled, expression cool and unreadable. It was unfair how good he looked in the morning light, like the kind of trouble mothers warned their sons about. Hey, Vincent said. Adrian blinked. Hey. Vincent shut the door behind him. No greetings, no jokes, just silence. Adrian cleared his throat. Did you, need something? Vincent stepped forward slowly. Yeah. You. Adrian dropped his pen. Excuse me? Vincent didn't smile. His eyes held that serious, intense look again. I've been thinking about last night. You and me both, Adrian muttered, bending to retrieve his pen. Mostly so he wouldn't have to look at him. Vincent leaned against the desk. Do you regret it? Adrian froze. I mean, we were buzzed. Maybe it was the rooftop air. Maybe you felt pressured. I don't want to assume anything, Vincent continued. Adrian finally looked up. I don't regret it. Their eyes met. The tension in the room thickened. But, Adrian added, voice quieter, I also don't know what it means. Vincent nodded slowly, not looking surprised. It doesn't have to mean everything right away. I'm the student council president. You're the volleyball captain. Everyone already has assumptions. If they find out we kissed, Vincent cut in gently. Then let them talk. Adrian stared at him, bewildered. How are you so calm about this? Vincent shrugged. Because I've wanted to kiss you for a while. I'm not scared of wanting you. Adrian's breath hitched. You're serious. Dead serious. Adrian sat back in his chair, trying to process. But we barely know each other. We flirt. We argue. I insult you for fun. And I let you. That's not normal. Vincent stepped closer. Neither are we. Adrian wanted to yell, or kiss him again. Maybe both. But before he could choose either option, there was another knock, and the door opened. A council member peeked in. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you had company, she said cheerfully. Adrian, the club president for theater wants to reschedule. Right? I'll be out in a second. Adrian cut in quickly. She left. The door shut. Adrian groaned and buried his face in his hands. I hate this. Vincent chuckled. You like it. Adrian peeked through his fingers. Are you going to be this cocky all the time now? Only when I'm around you. Vincent pulled something out of his pocket and placed it on Adrian's desk. A black hoodie. Forgot this last night, Vincent said. You were shivering when we left the rooftop. Adrian blinked. You brought this for me? Vincent nodded. Keep it. Adrian held the hoodie in his hands, warmth blooming in his chest. It smelled faintly of cologne and Vincent. He hated how comforting it was. Thanks, he murmured. Vincent gave him a soft smile and turned to leave. But before opening the door, he paused and glanced back. By the way, practice ends at 7. Come by. Come by where? The gym, Vincent said simply. Unless you're too scared. And then he was gone. Adrian stared after him, hoodie clutched to his chest, and groaned aloud. He was in trouble. Big, tall, volleyball-shaped trouble. 7:03 p.m. Adrian stood at the entrance of the university gym, hoodie still in his hands. The place smelled like wood polish, sweat, and faint echoes of cheering. Vincent was doing cool-down stretches with the rest of the team. His tank top clung to his skin, his hair damp from effort. Adrian's mouth went dry. Vincent spotted him, stood, and walked over casually. You came, he said. Adrian raised the hoodie. Returning your stuff. That's all. Vincent smirked. You could have just thrown it in my locker. I'm polite, Adrian replied, voice sharp. You're curious. Adrian said nothing. Vincent tilted his head. Want to hit a few balls? Adrian scoffed. I'm not dressed. I'll teach you. Adrian hesitated, then nodded. Fine. 1 round. It turned into an hour. Adrian learned how to serve properly. Vincent guided his form, hands brushing his arms, adjusting his stance, soft murmurs of encouragement. It was annoyingly intimate. After missing a serve for the 10th time, Adrian groaned. I suck. You're not bad, Vincent said, stepping behind him. You just need to loosen up. He placed his hands gently on Adrian's hips. Adrian froze. What are you doing? Helping your posture. Vincent murmured, voice lower now. Relax. Adrian couldn't think, couldn't breathe. And then, Vincent leaned down, lips brushing the curve of Adrian's neck. Still nervous? He whispered. Adrian turned slightly, flushed, his voice barely steady. You're such a menace. Vincent smiled. And you love it. Chapter 6. The Rules We Break. It was supposed to be a quiet Friday. Adrian told himself he would bury the memory of Vincent's hands on his hips, the teasing voice in his ear, and that kiss on the rooftop. He told himself he'd focus on schoolwork, student council duties, and not on Vincent's stupid smirk. And yet, here he was, standing in front of the boys' locker room with a paper bag of snacks in his hand, mentally debating his life choices. He wasn't even sure why he came. Vincent had mentioned he'd be practicing late. Maybe he's hungry, Adrian had told himself earlier. It's not a big deal. But the paper bag said otherwise. He knocked once. No response. The locker room door creaked open anyway, unlatched. Vincent, Adrian called softly. Inside, the room echoed with the steady drip of a leaking faucet and the hum of old lights. He stepped in cautiously. Vincent, he said again. A wet sound interrupted him. Then, Vincent stepped out from the shower area, damp towel hanging dangerously low on his hips, droplets running down his chest. Oh, Vincent said, blinking. Hey, Adrian forgot how to breathe. I thought everyone left already? Vincent continued casually, wiping his face with another towel. What are you doing here? I brought snacks, Adrian said, voice unnaturally high. You said you were staying late and I figured. You might be hungry? Vincent tilted his head. You came here, at 9 p.m., with snacks. Adrian shoved the bag into his hands. Don't read into it. Vincent chuckled, still shirtless and very aware of it. You're blushing. No, I'm not. You are. Shut up. Vincent dropped the towel from his hair onto the bench, then rummaged through the bag. Banana milk and choco bread? You are soft. I'm leaving, Adrian declared, spinning toward the door, his dignity fraying at the edges. Vincent caught his wrist gently. Wait. Adrian froze. The air shifted. I'm glad you came, Vincent said, voice softer now. Adrian turned, expression unreadable. Why? Because I missed you, Vincent answered simply. Adrian stared at him, heart hammering. You barely saw me 2 days ago. Still missed you. You're unbelievable, Adrian muttered. But he didn't pull away. Vincent stepped closer, still damp, still shirtless. Do you regret coming here? Adrian didn't answer. Vincent reached up, brushing a strand of hair from Adrian's forehead. You keep acting like you don't want this. But your eyes keep giving you away. Adrian's breath caught. I'm scared, he whispered. Vincent nodded. Me too. Adrian blinked. Vincent looked away for a moment, like admitting it made him vulnerable. You could wreck me, Adrian. And I think I'd let you. Silence. The kind of silence that made the air heavier. And then Adrian stepped forward, closing the distance between them. If we do this, Adrian whispered, there's no turning back. Vincent leaned in. Good. Their lips met again, this time with no hesitation. It wasn't desperate. It wasn't drunk. It was slow, exploratory, laced with all the unspoken questions they were too afraid to ask. Vincent's hands cupped Adrian's face. Adrian's fingers curled into his damp hair. They kissed like they'd been waiting for this moment their whole lives. Vincent gently pushed Adrian against the lockers, and the cool metal sent a shiver down his spine. You sure? Vincent asked, voice low. Adrian nodded. Yeah. Vincent kissed him again, slower this time, his hands tracing the sides of Adrian's waist, stopping just under the hem of his hoodie. And then, a loud metallic clang echoed from the other side of the locker room. They jumped apart instantly. Someone was there. A door creaked open, followed by the distinct sound of footsteps. Vincent shoved Adrian behind a row of lockers, lips at his ear. Don't move. They waited. A janitor wandered through, whistling softly, picking up a stray water bottle and tossing it into the bin. Adrian's heart thudded against Vincent's chest, his back pressed flush against the cold metal, Vincent's arm across his waist protectively. The footsteps faded. Adrian looked up. That was close. Vincent smirked. Adds to the thrill, doesn't it? You're insufferable. And yet you're still here. Adrian shoved him lightly. This is dangerous. We have reputations to protect. Vincent pulled back slightly, eyes searching his. Then let's keep it between us. Adrian frowned. A secret. Just for now. Until we figure it out. Adrian hesitated. He hated hiding. But he hated the idea of losing this more. Okay, he said quietly. Vincent smiled, kissed his forehead, then whispered, then it's our secret. Later that night, Adrian tossed and turned in bed, staring at the ceiling. His lips were swollen, his heart was confused, and his thoughts were a mess. He reached for his phone. One message from Vincent. Sweet dreams, President. You taste like banana milk. Adrian groaned, buried his face in the pillow, and whispered to no one. I'm so screwed. Chapter 7, Lines That Blur. Adrian had always been good at multitasking. Meetings, events, student concerns, and essays all in one day. But ever since that night, his brain refused to cooperate. Vincent had become his distraction. A single message, a glance across the campus courtyard, or worse, a smirk from the volleyball captain during a council meeting in the gym, could throw him off completely. That morning, Adrian sat in the student council room, tapping his pen furiously on the edge of his clipboard. Papers were half-signed, his to-do list abandoned. All he could think about was the way Vincent's voice dipped when he whispered in the dark, or the pressure of his hand just above his hip. Earth to Adrian. Juno, the vice president, waved a folder in front of his face. You've read the same sentence 4 times. I'm just tired, Adrian muttered, trying to sit straighter. Juno said, not buying it. Let me guess. Tall, broad-shouldered, and plays volleyball? Adrian's eyes snapped up. Juno grinned like a shark. I knew it. You've been spacing out ever since that charity game. There's nothing going on, Adrian said a bit too quickly. We just talk sometimes. Aha, he said, folding her arms. And I just talk to my barista 5 days a week, with full eye contact and a heart-shaped note on my latte. Adrian covered his face. It's complicated, okay? It's Vincent Lee. Of course it's complicated, he whispered. But if you're sneaking around, you better be careful. This campus lives for rumors. Adrian gulped. Later that afternoon, Vincent cornered Adrian near the back of the library, between 2 shelves of untouched encyclopedias. You've been ignoring me, he said. I've been busy, Adrian replied, arms crossed. Vincent stepped closer. Too busy to text? Or too scared? Adrian looked up, defiant. You said we'd keep it low. I didn't mean radio silence. Adrian sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. You don't get it, Vincent. You're untouchable. Captain of the team. Mr. Cool and Calm. But if word gets out about us, it'll be me who gets chewed out. Vincent's expression softened. Is that what you think? It's not a thought. It's reality. There was a beat of silence. Then Vincent leaned in, voice low. Then let me protect you. Adrian blinked. What? Vincent touched his wrist gently. Let me be the one who carries the risk this time. It was vulnerable, real, and it shook something in Adrian. He pulled Vincent into the corner, out of sight, pressed a hand to his chest. Don't say things like that, he whispered. Not when I'm trying to be the responsible one. Vincent tilted his head, teasing. But you're so much more fun when you're not responsible. Adrian rolled his eyes, but he didn't stop him when Vincent leaned in for a kiss. It was soft, stolen, hidden behind books and shadows. A secret chapter of their story written in whispers and heartbeats. The next day, Saturday practice. The gym was alive with whistles, squeaking shoes, and the thud of volleyballs. Vincent was mid-spike when he saw Adrian walk in with snacks for the whole team. He nearly missed the ball. You sure he's just a friend? One of his teammates nudged him with a grin. Vincent played it cool. He's just being nice, right? So nice he wrote your name in Sharpie on your milk tea. Vincent glanced down. Sure enough, his name in Adrian's tidy handwriting with a smiley face. He flushed. Later, as the team packed up, Vincent found Adrian sitting on the bleachers, reading. Hey, he said, wiping sweat off his brow with a towel. You smell like effort, Adrian teased, wrinkling his nose. Vincent sat beside him. You came all the way here just to bully me? Maybe, Adrian replied. Also to make sure you don't die of dehydration. Their eyes locked, tension hanging between them. Come with me, Vincent said suddenly. Where? You'll see. That night, rooftop again. The stars were brighter this time. A breeze drifted across the rooftop as Vincent handed Adrian a sweatshirt. You always bring me here, Adrian said, tugging it on. Because you let me breathe, Vincent murmured. Adrian turned to look at him, confused. Vincent continued. Everyone expects things from me. Wins, strength, charm. But with you, I can drop all of it. Adrian reached over, his fingers brushing Vincent's. Then why not be real with the world? Because the world doesn't deserve to see this yet, Vincent said, voice shaking. Not until I know we're strong enough. Adrian's throat tightened. He understood. It was frustrating, but it made sense. Still, he leaned in and rested his head on Vincent's shoulder. And Vincent laced their fingers together. I'm scared, Adrian whispered. Me too, Vincent replied. But I'm also sure. About what? You. Chapter 8. Almost caught. The week after their rooftop moment passed like a blur. Classes, council duties, volleyball drills, it all melted together. But Vincent and Adrian were sharper than ever around each other. Every passing glance was a spark. Every brush of fingers felt like fire. They had grown used to living in stolen moments. Adrian would sneak into the gym under the excuse of event coordination, only to slip Vincent a drink and a wink. Vincent would take the long way around the courtyard just to walk by the student council office. A 5-second eye contact? Worth it. Still, they knew the walls were closing in. It started with whispers, soft chuckles from behind lockers, lingering stares when they were spotted too close at lunch. Even Adrian's council team had picked up on the tension. "You two really aren't subtle anymore?" Juno said one afternoon, arms folded as he watched Adrian fumble with club registration forms. "I don't know what you're talking about," Adrian muttered, cheeks red. "Oh, please. You were literally adjusting Vincent's collar in front of the entire art org." "I was fixing his pin," Adrian protested. "While standing that close?" He groaned and buried his face in the stack of papers. "We're being careful, okay?" Juno leaned in, voice softening. "Just be ready. People talk. And this campus doesn't know how to mind its own business." Meanwhile, at practice, Vincent was spiking hard, frustration laced in every hit. Coach raised an eyebrow. "You good? Fine. Aha. Then maybe don't try to kill the net." Vincent sighed and grabbed his water bottle. As he stepped away from the court, a teammate jogged up beside him. "So, you and Adrian, huh?" Vincent nearly choked. "What?" he coughed. The guy shrugged. "Just saying. You're kind of obvious." Vincent wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "He's just a friend." "Right," the guy said, smirking. "Just a friend who brings you lunch, checks in during practices, and makes you smile like an idiot." "I don't smile." "You do with him." Vincent paused, realizing that maybe, just maybe, he'd dropped the ball on hiding it. That Friday, student mixer night. It was the biggest campus event of the month, with booths, lights, and performances scattered across the quad. Adrian was everywhere, checking mics, guiding performers, calming down a panic-stricken drama club. Vincent arrived late, dressed down in a black hoodie and cap. He knew he couldn't hover near Adrian too long. Not tonight. But his eyes found him anyway. Every time. Adrian caught him watching once from across the food stall area. He smiled and quickly looked away. Their game of pretending had become a dance. Painfully cautious. Later that night, the quiet corner. Adrian finally snuck away for a break, hiding behind the event stage. He didn't expect Vincent to find him. "Figured you'd be back here," Vincent said, offering a drink. "You're good at finding me." Vincent grinned. "I'm drawn to you, like a volleyball to the floor." Adrian laughed, shaking his head. "That was awful. But it made you laugh." Adrian took a sip and leaned against the wall. "You shouldn't have come here." "Why?" "There are eyes everywhere." Vincent stepped closer. "Let them look. Vin. Let them wonder." Adrian blinked, heart pounding. Vincent raised a hand, brushing a thumb along Adrian's cheek. "We've been hiding for weeks. What if I'm tired of pretending you're just my friend? People won't accept it. They'll have to deal with it." Adrian bit his lip. He wanted this. He wanted him. But he also didn't want to be the reason Vincent's reputation took a hit. Just as Vincent leaned in. "Hey, Adrian, are you?" Juno's voice rang out from around the corner. They jumped apart. Adrian stepped away quickly, heart racing. "Yeah, I'm here." Juno rounded the corner and froze when he saw Vincent. "I see," he said slowly. "Didn't mean to interrupt." Vincent stuffed his hands into his hoodie pocket. "I was just leaving." He walked off without another word. Juno looked at Adrian. "You okay?" Adrian stared at the space Vincent had just been. "I think I just messed everything up." That night, text message. "Adrian, I'm sorry." No reply. "Adrian, please don't shut me out." Still nothing. "Adrian, I'm scared too, but I don't want to lose this." 3 dots appeared on the screen, then vanished. Adrian stared at his phone, heart sinking. For the first time since it all began, silence felt unbearable. Chapter 9. cracks in the armor. Vincent hadn't replied all weekend. Adrian sat alone at his usual spot near the student lounge, eyes glued to his phone, refreshing Vincent's chat like some obsessive ex. It was pathetic. He knew it, but he couldn't stop. Was it over? No, it couldn't be. They hadn't even started yet. Their connection was undeniable, real, intense. But maybe, just maybe, Vincent had finally realized what Adrian feared most. That the risk was bigger than the reward. Adrian blinked away, the sting in his eyes. "Hey!" A soft voice cut through his spiraling thoughts. He looked up. Vincent stood there, hair messy, hoodie sleeves pulled over his palms. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept. His dark eyes held something rare. Nervousness. "I wasn't ignoring you," Vincent said quietly. Adrian opened his mouth, then closed it. He didn't know what to say. Vincent sat beside him, not touching, not pushing. Just close enough that Adrian could feel the warmth he'd been missing for days. "I needed time," Vincent said, staring ahead. "To think. Did you decide?" Adrian asked, voice barely above a whisper. "I realized I was angry," Vincent admitted. "Not at you. At myself." Adrian frowned. "Why?" "Because I promised myself I'd never care this much about someone again. But then you happened. And now, you're in every thought, every breath, every damn volleyball serve." Adrian swallowed hard. "Vincent." Vincent turned to face him fully, jaw clenched. "I don't care what people say. I don't care if it ruins my cool image or if the team talks behind my back." Adrian's heart leapt. "But you," Vincent continued, voice cracking just slightly. "You hiding, pulling back the second someone catches us. That's what hurts. I can handle the world. I just can't handle you being ashamed of us." Adrian felt like he'd been slapped and hugged all at once. "I'm not ashamed," he said quickly. "I'm terrified." Vincent's expression softened. "I've worked so hard to be seen as reliable, professional, safe," Adrian said. "If this gets out, I don't know what happens to that image. Or to you." "Let it burn," Vincent whispered. "I'd rather lose their version of me than lose the real thing with you." Adrian blinked, stunned into silence. Vincent leaned closer, resting his forehead against Adrian's. "But I need to know you're in this with me. All in." The air between them was electric. Too many words, too many feelings, colliding. "I am," Adrian whispered. "Just help me be brave." Vincent smiled. A real one. No smirk. No sarcasm. "Then let's stop pretending." The next day, campus rumors explode. It started with a blurry photo. Vincent and Adrian sitting on the bench, foreheads touching, too intimate to be just friends. Someone had clearly snapped it without permission. Within hours, it was circulating in group chats, meme pages, and even showed up on the campus subreddit titled, "Volleyball Captain X Student Council President equals Secret Campus Couple?" Adrian stared at the post on his screen, frozen. "Knock, knock." He looked up. Vincent stood at the council room door, completely unfazed. "You seen it?" Vincent asked. Adrian nodded slowly. "Cool. Wanna get lunch?" "Wait, that's it." Adrian blinked. "You're not freaking out?" Vincent shrugged. "What's the point? It's out now. We might as well own it." Adrian glanced at the stunned faces of his council members. Juno raised an eyebrow but said nothing. With a shaky breath, Adrian stood, walked to Vincent, and said, "Let's go." As they exited the room together, Adrian could feel the eyes, the whispers, the tension, and then Vincent reached down, laced their fingers together. Adrian's heart thundered. The whispers grew louder, some surprised, some mocking, but a few genuinely supportive. He squeezed Vincent's hand. "I guess we're doing this," Adrian said, his voice shaking. Vincent gave him a small smile. "Yeah, together." Later that night, the rooftop again. They sat beneath the same sky, the same quiet stars, but everything felt different. No more pretending, no more hiding. "I'm scared," Adrian admitted, leaning against Vincent's shoulder. "Me too," Vincent said softly. But I think we're allowed to be scared. Adrian looked up. Can I ask you something? Anything. When did you first? No? Vincent smirked. When you lectured me about student permits in front of my whole team and still looked cute doing it. Adrian groaned. That's so embarrassing. Vincent tilted his chin up. But it's also so you. Then, with nothing holding them back anymore, Vincent kissed him. No rush, no hiding, just warmth, lips, truth. And for the first time in weeks, Adrian didn't care who might be watching. Chapter 10. All in, no turning back. The whole campus buzzed. Not with the usual midterm panic or club events, but with one hot topic. Vincent and Adrian. Some were obsessed, some scandalized. Others whispered with hearts in their eyes like it was straight out of a BL webtoon. Vincent didn't care. Not even a little. But Adrian, he was still adjusting. Still jumping at every lingering glance or smirk thrown their way. But when Vincent laced their fingers together without a second thought, like he always belonged there, Adrian started to believe it too. It wasn't about being ready for the world anymore. It was about choosing each other. And tonight, Adrian had made his choice. Dorm room, 10:47 p.m. Vincent's dorm was dimly lit, warm, filled with the soft scent of musk and something clean, like his shampoo. Adrian sat stiffly on the edge of the bed while Vincent grabbed water from the mini fridge. It was quiet, too quiet. You okay? Vincent asked, offering a bottle. Adrian took it but didn't open it. Why'd you ask me to stay over? Vincent sat beside him, his voice low. Because I wanted you here. Not just for tonight. I want to wake up and see your messy bedhead and your morning rants about printer cues. Adrian chuckled softly, looking down. But also, Vincent said, tilting Adrian's chin gently. Because I know you want more. And so do I. Adrian's breath caught in his throat. The heat behind Vincent's words, the softness in his eyes. It undid him. I do, he whispered. I want everything. With you. Vincent leaned in. Then let me show you. What followed wasn't rushed. Vincent wasn't the guy people thought he was, the stoic, cold athlete who only cared about winning. With Adrian, he was patient, gentle. He read every shift in Adrian's breathing, every hesitation in his hands. Clothes were peeled away slowly, reverently, like each layer revealed something sacred. Adrian trembled, not with fear, but with anticipation, with trust. Vincent's fingers traced the lines of Adrian's spine, his lips pressing against every inch like a promise. You're beautiful, he whispered. Adrian laughed, breathless. Liar. Not a chance. Their bodies moved like puzzle pieces meant to fit. Slow at first, curious, nervous. But when Adrian's fingers tangled in Vincent's hair, pulling him closer, Vincent deepened the kiss, letting the fire ignite. Skin met skin, heartbeats aligned. And when the moment came, when everything stilled except the soft panting of breath and the racing thunder of hearts, Vincent whispered, You're mine. Adrian responded without hesitation. Always. The morning after sunlight and smiles. Adrian woke up tangled in a mess of limbs and blankets. His head on Vincent's bare chest, rising and falling with each sleepy breath. For a moment he just stared. Vincent looked peaceful here. Younger. Vulnerable in a way no one else had probably seen him. Adrian leaned up, gently brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. You're staring, Vincent mumbled without opening his eyes. Maybe I like the view. Vincent cracked one eye open and smirked. I could get used to waking up like this. Adrian propped himself on one elbow. With your bedhead and morning breath? With your snoring and cold feet? Vincent countered. Adrian gasped. I do not snore. Vincent just grinned, eyes softening. I'm serious, though. It's real, right? Adrian nodded. More real than anything. Vincent pulled him close again. Then let's not waste it. 1 week later, campus event night. The student council hosted a year-end celebration, and Adrian was in full president mode. Polished, composed, mic in hand. But as he stood under the stage lights, scanning the crowd, His eyes landed on Vincent, leaning casually against a pillar, arms crossed, smirking up at him like he was the only one in the room. Adrian's heart flipped. He cleared his throat. Tonight's about celebrating growth, passion, and the courage to face who we are. His voice faltered for a second, but then Vincent nodded at him. Just the smallest nod, like I've got you. Adrian smiled. Courage isn't just about facing challenges, he continued. Sometimes it's about choosing love, even when it's terrifying, even when it's unexpected. The crowd clapped politely, but Vincent, he looked like he might walk up and kiss him in front of everyone. And honestly, Adrian wouldn't have stopped him. That night, back at the rooftop, their spot, always, Vincent lay back on the blanket, Adrian curled beside him. The city buzzed below, but up here, it was just them and the stars. You ever think about the future? Adrian asked, voice soft. Vincent turned his head. All the time, like us graduating, moving on. Can we make it last? Vincent took his hand, pressing a kiss to his knuckles. We'll write our own story, he said. No matter where we end up. Adrian's heart swelled. He didn't need promises written in stars. He had Vincent's hand in his, warm and steady, and that was enough.